Yet another Google update rolling out in what has been a couple of months of more or less constant Google updates, which have tanked loads of people's sites. So from Chiang Mai SEO, speaking to a lot of people, even really big names in the industry, pretty much everyone was hurting, having had their whole portfolios wiped out with significant traffic drops across the board. Now, obviously, we're all trying to fix this. We're discussing. I've had some sites hit, but not others. And speaking to a few people, the general overview was that every now and then, Google's quite cyclical. It's a bit like the stock market. Every now and then, it'll start making some big changes, which will result in some really significant drops. But you do generally find over time, longer term, it does tend to fix itself. I got this from Gael Breton, an authority hacker. And Gael's someone I trust absolutely. I learned my core foundations in SEO religiously listening to the Authority Hacker podcast while I was commuting to my day job 5 years ago. And it was on this SEO boat party in Bangkok that we were all having a discussion about this. And he basically said that what you tend to find is every now and then you do get these big dives where Google starts shaking everything up. And then over time, it does tend to resolve itself. Because currently, some of these updates don't actually make any sense. A lot of the changes Google's making pretty much go against all its principles around good user experience and providing the best answers to questions. Now, what I'm always telling people, and I've said this a few times on my channel, is that if you're hitting an update, there is this temptation to immediately go about trying to fix it. But sometimes you've got to accept, what if Google is wrong? What if Google has made a mistake? And that's what I want to share with you in this video today. But first, before I go on, Black Friday is upon us. It's probably the best time of the year to stack up on SEO deals. So make sure to sign up for my Ranking Revelations newsletter. Not only will you get the extra detailed insights that I can't go into on YouTube so publicly, but with Black Friday coming up, I'm going to be curating some of the best deals out there, including some really big discounts on my own services. So I run a high quality link building agency, and we're basically working on a special offer just for Black Friday that's going to be basically the best links you can get for the right budget. It's going to be high quality backlinks for cheaper than they've ever been before. But we've only got a limited number of places for this offer because it's so good. So it will be largely first come, first serve, as long as you're a good fit. So make sure you get on the Ranking Revelations newsletter so that as soon as I release that offer, you're able to grab one of those places. Link building is really hard work. When I first started, I wanted to try and do links cheaper than every other agency. And I very quickly realized just why agencies charge so much money for links, because the amount of back and forth involved in negotiating placements, doing the screening process, making sure you're getting good quality links is really hard work. And so suddenly those markups really made sense. But even if you're not looking for link building, there'll be plenty of other more sort of DIY products available. So sign up to my Ranking Revelations newsletter and I will send those to you. But if you're not much of a DIY, you've got money but not much time, but you do have the budget, then feel free to head over to Apply, where you can fill in the form and my team will be in touch with you to discuss your exact requirements in getting you ranking on Google. But enough sales pitch, let's get back to what you actually came here for, and it's my long-term experience with Google Updates. And I want to share with you today how one of my sites has come truly back from the dead. It is resurrected in its entirety, and it's really quite shocking. But first, a story. December 2020, we had a core update, and all the groups, all the Twitter channels, etc., everyone again was in despair. We've had sites losing 80% of their traffic overnight. So if we come down to the comments on this article, we can see, I was just trying to find an example of what people were facing, and it's all very similar to what we're hearing today. People basically saying, what's going on? My website gone down, lost 35%. People talk about rollback, saying Google's broken. Is it going to roll this back? This one, e-commerce site down 25%. This is very familiar. How is it possible that the quality of our website goes up by 30% and then down by 70%? It's a brutal way to treat people who run websites. After being in SEO for more than 10 years, I'm ready to give in and go up to something more predictable like funnels. So you get the idea. This comes around with every Google update. You've always got a couple of winners and then loads of people who are in pain. But at this particular update, my site somehow benefited really well. So this was an affiliate site. I sold it a couple of years ago, but the December update was just here, and my traffic went from just under 1,000 a month right up to eventually a peak of 10,000 a month. And then when the next update came along, was that the product reviews update? One of those. It came back down to where it was before. So you can see there's this gradual incline coming up. And basically when it came down again, it was just following that same trajectory there. So that's just one example. But let me show you a site that got truly penalized and how I fixed it. unexpectedly. So this was a site in the medical niche. It was an expired domain. I paid about $3,000 at Otis Global. For Otis Global, make sure you click below to sign up with my link. That will get you access, and then you can get their premium domain inventory there. So as is my usual approach, I bought the domain and then went for basically volume of content. So we grew the site really nicely, right up to 2,800 visitors per month. In the medical niche, this is quite valuable traffic as well. So if we look at the organic traffic value, that follows it almost squarely. And we're up to $7,000 a month in traffic value. And I was getting a decent amount of affiliate commissions from this as well. But then disaster struck. All my keyword positions were just disappearing. And I don't think this was even an update. And even if it was an update, you would not get a drop this big. So obviously, I've got to be quite vulnerable here. Most SEO experts do not want to give away times they've been penalized. Now, I was checking in Search Console. There was nothing coming up there. I built the site pretty much legitimately. It was a good quality expired domain, good quality content. I had a professional editor running through it. I had all their EAT credentials on the site. But one way or another, something was in there. And what you'll find with a soft algorithmic penalty is that doesn't get flagged up in Search Console. If you get a manual penalty because you're doing dodgy stuff and someone's hit a button and said tank this site, then you'll get a notification in Search Console. I never got that. So but it's pretty clear something's gone very badly wrong here. So the answer was it's some sort of soft algorithmic penalty. Now, I thought about trying to fix it, but no matter what I did, I've done everything correct. And this is what a lot of people are finding with the current update. Going to Google saying, dude, I've done everything right. What do you want me to do? Now, looking back on it, I was actually quite keen to do a case study because I reckon it could have been an EEAT issue. Experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So yes, I actually got a medic to edit the content, but I now, looking back, knowing what I know now, bear in mind this was more than a year ago now. This was in June 2022. This is a landscape that's always changing, and I'm always adapting and growing and speaking to more people, getting more and more insights. So knowing what I know now, I'd have actually doubled down on that EEAT. So not just got the editor, but actually done a lot of work around the internet to really solidify that editor's position. So set up a Google Scholar account, publish an ebook on KDP, use author schema and say Maz tags to tie these all together to signal to Google, this is the same person, here are their credentials. And I was actually going to run through this as a case study of website recovery, just to see how we got on. Another thing you can do in these kind of instances is actually redirect the domain, because it seems from what I've spoken to a lot of people is if you migrate the domain and redirect all the traffic and just move the content over, the penalty doesn't carry over with that domain. So I've seen case studies of this happening, where basically, I think the example I've seen was someone had only commercial content. They didn't have any info content on the site. So it was all product reviews and best X for Y, which a few years ago was fine, but now you need to pad that out with more value add info content to prove you're not just an affiliate site. So this person grew the site beautifully, got tanked, migrated the domain, and then the traffic came back up again. But they still didn't they didn't fix the problem they'd encountered in the first place. They didn't include more info content, and so got tanked again. And unfortunately, this was right before they were going to sell the site as well. So in this case, I thought about doing that. But again, I've got loads of projects on, different things. So at the time, I was thinking, this site, there's nothing really that wrong with it. Do I really want to go through the whole rigmarole of migrating the domain? Why don't I just leave it and we'll see what happens? Now, sure enough, in November even, it started picking up again. It come literally back from the dead. And ever since then, it's been growing slowly but surely. And really interesting, because we're not seeing a return to where it was before, but it does seem like whatever suppression was going on, whatever throttling Google was doing, was lifted quite suddenly in November. And then in that time, it's just started to grow slightly. Now, I've just kept this site on the back burner because obviously you don't want to invest heavily in a project that's currently being throttled. But coming to where we are now, I've started to realize again, actually, this is a really good asset. I've got a great link building team, great content team. We can grow sites really effectively. So that's why I was planning on doing this case study, to try and use EEAT to try and recover the site. And then the next steps would be more sort of classic penalty recovery steps. So creating more content. So basically use the Ahrefs content gap analysis to work out what other topics are we not covering that we should be, and refreshing existing content, updating the layout a bit, and again, just improving things like, the contact us, the about us, the page design, making all these signals more obvious to Google. But then Google got in the way. Literally this week, I found this really sudden vertical uptick in my site where I've gone from around the low 700s at the end of October to 1,000 traffic again within a few days. Now, that's not much to write home about, 25%. You can see from this chart, it goes up and down all the time. But watch this. About a week ago, we can see all these keywords surging back. So there's a 51,000 search volume keyword, 36, nothing to write home about, but it's something. There's a 1,500 search term with a high CPC, that's a good commercial affiliate keyword, position 25, that's new, jumping back up. 1,100, $6 CPC, position 19, straight to page 2. Here, incredibly, 1,400 searches a month, straight to number 1. It's got the featured snippet. And I verified this. This wasn't just an Ahrefs blip. I've checked it on live search results, and it's there in the featured snippet. And this has just carried on. And this has all happened amidst the November Google update. So this really shows when an update comes along, it really does shake everything up, including previous issues you might have faced. So it seems like whether it was an update, an algorithmic penalty, there was something about this site that Google didn't like. And in the last week or so, that's totally changed. The cap's come off and the traffic has just exploded back to where it used to be. So with this, I just wanted to give you a bit of hope in that there's lots of people really suffering right now, having been hit by updates. But as I showed you in my previous website example and in this live example, sometimes the best thing you can do really is just wait. Sometimes Google gets it wrong. Now, we always talk about optimization and what's working right now, but a lot of the time, that's a lot of work to constantly chase what's working right now. I had a talk this morning where people are talking about de-optimizing their site for keywords because apparently Google no longer likes keyword optimized content. So if you're constantly changing your site to adapt the latest update, we could get another update in a week or two's time and all your work is suddenly undone. It might have a negative impact. So stick to the fundamentals. You want content, you want links, make sure they're both good quality. You want topical relevance, you want good authorship. But if you find you're being unfairly hit, then quite often the right answer is just to wait. And that can be really difficult if it's your main source of revenue. So work on diversification. In my case, I've got agency, I've got lots of different websites, and then I've got some other businesses with other traffic sources as well. And I intend to just keep expanding that. I want more and more paid ads traffic, my own affiliates. So ultimately I'm untouchable. And in that time, I'll also be putting more of the revenue into safer assets like real estate. So not saying SEO is dead at all, but at the same time, it's a very bumpy road. So obviously you want that cash in the bank, plow it into some safe assets. But often if you think you've done something wrong, you're panicking about it, often the right thing to do is nothing at all.